Myself, Dr. D. Parvati, lecturer in botany, Pingal Government College for Women, Warangal Urban. Topics: Halophytes, Mesophytes, Epiphytes. Halophytes, the plants that inhabits saline soil with high concentrations of soils like sodium chloride, magnesium sulfate. Hence, physiologically dry soil or saline water belong to this ecological group. On such a substratum, only such plants can grow which can tolerate a relatively high concentration of these salts. These plants have succulent leaves and sometimes the stem is also succulent. In certain cases, leaves are modified into spines. Such xerophytic adaptations are the result of reaction of excess of salts on the plants. Halophytes growing in marshy places near seashore from a special vegetation known as the mangrove or tidal woodland. These are also called halophilous halophytes. These plants belongs to several different families. In India, characteristic mangrove vegetation occurs by the side of almost all tropical seas. Mangrove plants are characterized by the presence of downwardly curving adventitious roots called stilt roots or poorer roots. The function of these roots is simply mechanical. They provide support to the plant to withstand tides. In addition to the proper roots, special roots called pneumatophores or respiratory roots are also produced in large number. These roots arise from the underground roots and grow straight up into the air above the surface of the mud. They have lenticels and large intracellular space. Though lenticels exchange of gases from respiration takes place in rhizophora, however, the proper roots themselves serve as respiratory roots. In Gurugonia, the horizontally running understand roots come out of the mud and bend down again, thus assuming nail-like shape. This exposed portion of the root develops small pores and functions like that a respiratory root. The halophytes show a peculiar phenomena of seed germination, which is known as vivipary. In this kind of germination, the seeds does not undergo a period of rest and starts germinating almost instantly within the fruit itself, still attached to the parent plant and nourished by the later. This is a plant for vivipary, example for the vivipary. Example, bryophyllum is the good example for the vivipary. The radical grows to a certain length and swells up at the lower end. Finally, the seeds falls vertically downwards into the water or the mud, and the pointed end of the radicle may get stuck in the mud. Lateral roots arise from the radicle, with the help of which the young plant gets firmly attached to the soil. This is the viviparous structure. Viviparous germination of mangrove seeds and mature fruits. Roots and radicals are present. Owing to their light weight and spongy nature, the fruits, seeds, and seedlings of mangroves can float from a long time in water and are thus distributed over very wide areas. This is one of the main reasons why the mangroves vegetation right from Australia to East Africa include similar species. Typical mangrove plants are Rhizophora, Cerlops, Cinerata, Hereditaria. This is the examples mainly. Exoceria, and besides mangrove plants, some halophytes occur in salt marshes, which during the greater part of the year remain immersed in water for a very short period. These marshes remain dry. Plants growing on such tracts have fleshy, joined stem and are usually leafless. Example of such halophytes are Arthomunia indicum and Selicarina botraitica, etc. Then xerophytic features of mangroves. The leaves are thick and somewhat fleshy. Example, Rhizophora and Avicennia. The stomata are sunken. Presence of water storage tissue in the leaves of certain plants, example, Rhizophora mucoronata. Palisade tissue in the leaf is the only collenchymatous tissue. Mesophyll is without intercellular spaces. Surface of the plant may be pubescent, that is covered with short, soft hairs, example, Avicennia. Stone cells are sometimes present in between the palisade cells, example, Rhizophora and Sonerata. Mesophytes. The majority of plant species thrives best on a moderate supply of water and known as a mesophytes. Living under conditions favorable for plant growth, they have well-developed roots and leaves. They are usually large and fast growing. Their leaves are big and provided with cuticle and thin epidermis. Stomata are unprotected. Vascular tissue is very much developed and differentiated. Mechanical tissue is extensively developed. Their stem may be herbivorous or woody. There are certain mesophytes such as deciduous trees which are mesophytic duration the summer and xerophytic duration during the winters. This is the mesophytes. Beautiful images there. Please watch it, see it. Then epiphytes. And epiphytes is a plant growing on other plants. Epiphytes means an epiphyte is plant growing on other plants. Epiphytes are known as air plants because they are not anchored in the soil. Epiphytes derive nutrients from rainwater, air, and from other sources. There are many adaptations present in the epiphytes to get nutrients and survive. Epiphytes are found on branches, leaves, trunk, and other surface of plants. Epiphytes anchor themselves to a tree but do not obtain water or other nutrients directly from it. Epiphytes are commonly found in rainforests. This is the epiphytic plant image. Epiphytes mostly grown on other plants for physical support and prepare their own food. They obtain adequate light while living on the tree. They get water from the rainwater dropping down from branches and nutrients that is washed out of leaves during rainfall. Epiphytes derive nutrients from the dead and decaying plant parts present around the surface. This type of biological interaction is known as commensalism. In commensalism, one of the species gets benefited and the other species is neither benefited nor harmed. They usually do not harm their host, but some epiphytes compete with their host for light and nutrients and harm them. Epiphytes, adaptations, and characteristics. Epiphytes are well adapted to suit their requirements. There is a shortage of water and nutrients at the canopy of the forest. To overcome these, epiphytes are well adapted to capture the nutrients and water present in the air from the debris of trees and rain. Adaptation of epiphytes help them grow in the area whether the ground is populated by many plants. Epiphytes generally grow in the densely populated rainforests, whether there is too much competition to get light, water, nutrients, etc. Their epiphytic habit helps them to get light and get benefited from the air rich in moisture. Epiphytes are found in both tropical and temperate regions. Ball moss is present in the coastal desert of Mexico. It gets moisture from fog. Epiphytes have aerial roots to anchor the plant to the surface they grow. In some of the epiphytic plants, roots are specialized to perform other functions. To example, some of the orchids have photosynthetic roots, and in some plants, roots absorb moisture too. In a parasitic epiphyte, moisture roots are modified to present the host plant and absorb water. In strangler fig and epiphyte roots become too long and reach the ground and anchoring the plant in the soil. They eventually kill the host tree by growing around it and crushing its secondary flowering. They compete with the host tree for light and other resources. Orchids can conserve water in their thick stems. Certain epiphytes have leaves modified as furrows or pitcher to collect rainwater. Seeds of epiphytes have wings, parachute, or gliding apertures and sticky post for easy dispersal. They make fleshy and edible fruits. Seeds get dispersed by animals and birds. Some epiphytes are very selective in their choice of host plant, such as Tortula pegorum, present on the bark of trees only within the city limits. Epiphytes contribute a rich ecosystem. They not only grow on trees, but plants like mosses grow on rocks and moist area of houses, etc. Epiphytes examples. Epiphytes can be categorized as haloepiphytes, hemiepiphytes, protoepiphytes. Halo, epiphytes. An epiphyte which completes its life cycle on the host plant without coming on the ground. Example, orchids. Hemiepiphytes and epiphytes which later in its life reaches the ground. Its root develops and makes contact with the ground. Example, strangler fig. Then third one, protoepiphytes. They are dependent on the host to derive nourishment. They lack adaptive features except for aerial roots. Example, peperomia. Epiphytes belongs to many plant families such as Bromeliaceae, Orchidaceae, etc. Some of the common epiphytes include mosses, ferns, bromeliads, lichens, liverworts, and orchids. They are found in various shapes, pattern, colors, and size. They are the largest flowering plants. They are found everywhere except Antarctica. Example, orchids are present as an epiphyte on a mango branch. Ferns. They are present in moist areas. The epiphytic forms include Asplenonia, bird's nest forms, and Platycirenium. Then Bromeliads. They are well-known epiphytes of the Bromeliaceae family. Many bromeliads have their leaves overlap each other to store rainwater in Thela- Thailandia, Thailandapsium. Water is gathered by the trichomes. Epiphytic cacti. Epiphytic cacti grow in rainforest. They anchor trees' branches with their roots and collect organic compost water. Thank you very much.